Before Shows.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros Before Shows. I'm Scotty and I'm with a very special guest. This is my best friend growing up. We did all kinds of stuff. This is Mr. Wesley Slade.
Wesley Slade, that's me. I am him.
Yeah. So Wesley, you and I grew up in Mississippi together.
Yeah.
And we met doing theater shows in Laurel
Mm-hmm.
and in Hattiesburg at the Laurel Theater, HCLO. Yeah. And now you're a professional actor working in at the Muny in California and Florida, Orlando, New York. You've
been around.
You've been around.
But I'm still trying.
But you started here in Mississippi, just listening to musicals and then
Yeah, well, I grew up doing shows. My first show ever was with the Treehouse Players with Thomasine Nobles in Hattiesburg at the Sanger Theater. That's where I met a bunch of people.
I wasn't part of that. I don't remember that.
No, it was a kids camp thing.
Oh, okay.
But we met doing Peter Pan at Laurel Theater.
Right, that was in 2007.
Yeah, and then we did Sound of Music, Grease, Beauty and the Beast,
High School Musical
twice.
For HLO, Hattiesburg, and for Laurel Little Theater.
We did Seussical, where you were Cat in the Hat and I was Horton the Elephant.
Oh yeah.
And we did Visions of Broadway and the modern some musical reviews. We did a lot together because we became Scotty and Wesley. Yeah. It wasn't oh, we're gonna put Wesley in a show, or we're gonna put Scotty in a show. It was Scotty and Wesley.
Think of us like Bing Crosby and
Danny Kaye.
Bob
Hope. Or
Danny Kaye, like White Christmas.
Yeah. And people were like, "Oh, are you
dreaming of a white Christmas?"
But no, it's more sisters. But they would put us in things. Oh, and we did Footloose.
Yeah.
Which I was telling someone about.
I was the bad guy in that. I was the bad boy.
Yeah.
Chuck.
It's funny because I was telling someone about that the other day. I said, "Yeah, Scotty and I were in that together, but we didn't really have any interaction or lines. But there was one moment in the show where our characters had one line with each other." And we ad-libbed 5 more. And they never stopped us.
Yeah.
And so we just kept doing it. Because we were like, whatever. And we made up a whole little scene for the both of us.
Gosh, yeah.
And they were like, that's them. Look at them go. It was so stupid. But we did that.
Yeah. And then that was in 2012. And then you moved to Florida.
I moved to Orlando. And I moved there to do theater and whatever was there. And I worked at Universal Studios. I still do work at Universal Studios. And Walt Disney World.
Oh,
and
sweet.
That's
what you always wanted to do, and you actually went and did it.
I did always want to do that, but I always wanted to do regional theater and maybe Broadway one day, things like the theater, a lot as well. And so I've been able to do that because Florida also has a very rich, vibrant regional theater scene.
Right.
And Boca Raton and Miami. And
it's big in the entertainment.
Yeah. A lot of the retirees, go down to Boca and stuff, and they're like, we want to see Broadway. And so they bring in these New York creatives and people from out of town and do shows.
Yeah, so who have you worked with that you admired growing up?
Oh, don't make me name names.
I mean,
I worked closely a lot with wonderful puppeteer from the Jim Henson Company, and he was also in Avenue Q on Broadway. He was nominated for a Tony. And Johnny and the Sprites on Disney Channel. His name's John Tartaglia. I worked with him a few times as a director, and also co-starred with him. He was Harold Hill, and I was Marcellus in The Music Man.
Oh, that's great.
In Boca.
And we did that show.
We did do that show.
But I wasn't the Music Man. I was
that's right.
I was the teenager.
That's another one we did together.
But you were.
We did a lot of shows together.
Marcellus.
Didn't we count 14 shows together or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
15.
And then don't forget that Wesley also was in one of my my first Zelda fan film that I did.
Yes, I was.
And you worked with in Dana's movie too, Kagan of Christ Saint.
So. Well, it's funny because I wasn't in Zelda as much as I was behind.
Yeah, you were always there as my backup.
Because I had nothing better to do, and Scotty knew it. And he went, hey, you want to come help me make a movie? And I went, sure, making a movie. And, which it was, but also it was a lot of hey, it's the middle of July, and we're going to go to this,
let's go film in the heat.
This field behind this person's house that I saw one time.
Not to mention, after like later that day, we had to go to we were helping backstage at a musical review.
Yes.
Like, so we would go sweat out in the heat, like, and film Zelda, and then get sunburn, and then go.
But we filmed Zelda for like the better part of a year.
Because we only had weekends to do it. So
because I remember we did that, but then there was also time like we would still be doing High School Musical in the fall.
Yeah.
And we were filming things in the fall.
Yeah.
And so that was like a project that just certain days, hey, on Friday, you want to go film something for Zelda? Yeah, okay. What do you want me to do? Hold this boom mic. Okay. I got nothing else to do. And we were hanging out, so like that was good enough for me.
I had a heat stroke on that one.
I remember. I was there. I almost did too, but I was like, well, I guess I'm not, wearing all the armor and stuff.
Yeah,
it was hot.
But
yeah, we did that, and but yeah, and I've been lucky to go on to work at like Disney World and Universal and the theme parks and some dinner theaters in Orlando, and now my most recent thing was I was in Beauty and the Beast at the Muny in St. Louis, which is an 11,000 seat outdoor amphitheater.
Yeah,
and it's I think 106 season. It's been around for 106 seasons.
It's been around,
and it was hot. Very hot. but but you get used to it. You rehearse outside. You do the show outside. And you put the whole show up in 10 days, and then you do the show, and they're rehearsing.
Remember how long it would take for, us to do a show here, and then we do, 4 performances, and we're done?
I remember when I first went to Orlando, and I went, wait, we're rehearsing the entire show in 2 weeks, and then I gotta do it for 4? That's insane. And now I'm like... Whatever. But it's crazy to me. It's because of the market of how many people want to go see theater in Mississippi. Right. Like, after one weekend, everyone who wanted to see it saw it.
Yeah.
They couldn't sell another another weekend unless it was always Patsy Cline or Joseph.
When I was in productions at USM, it was the same. It was like we did 2 weeks.
That was it. And that's all you need. It's amazing what I've done in terms of Orlando and the theme parks and the dinner theaters especially, where they're like, you have one rehearsal, learn the stuff at home, here's a video of the show, come in and know it. Just know it. And
but you were already studying musicals even when we were hanging out together. You listened to Broadway musicals all the time and you knew every single word.
Yeah.
So you were ready for this when you jumped in.
A lot of people, everyone has their things, and I loved comedy and I loved musical theater, and so there are shows that I've been cast in where I already know all the words of the song. So I'm like, okay, that part of the job's done. Okay, I just have to learn the lines now. But yeah, I always like to study. I still study. I still find new musicals all the time to try to add to my book for auditions and stuff and performances. And I don't know. I feel like it's that classic thing of it never stops and you never stop learning. You never stop anything. When it comes to all of it.
And you haven't really taken a break within these 12 years because you always had jobs lined up. And 6 months later I'm doing this show and this show.
I've been lucky. There's always the scare in between. Sometimes there's the truth of the actor of okay, well this week wasn't very good, but I have another show in 2 months, and so in between that I'm going to get this job. And but ultimately I've been very lucky. And
you had the theme parks to go to, and
the theme parks,
there's
which
other
is
entertainment dinner shows you could do.
And improv work and and I'm also a puppeteer, and so I also I teach puppetry, and I do puppetry whenever I can too, and that comes in handy a lot in theater and theater and stuff. And last year I was in California, in Southern California, and right outside Los Angeles in La Mirada at the La Mirada Theater with McCoy Rigby Entertainment, which is Kathy Rigby.
Oh yeah, she was Peter Pan.
Peter Pan and the Olympics and stuff. It's her entertainment company with her husband, who's a Broadway producer. Okay. And we did Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, and I was Igor and Sally Struthers from All in the Family, Tailspin, Pebbles and Bam Bam Show,
so sweet,
Gilmore Girls, just legend. She was Frau Blucher, and she was so sweet, so funny. And we still talk and stuff, and she's a great texter. It's like getting an email from my grandparents, all caps.
Oh goodness.
Hey. It's but it's it's wild to like be on stage with some people and be like, oh, I watched them on TV, and to be like this close with them, and you're like, and it's and like they're just people, like we all kind of are in show business, but there were times where I'd be like sitting here talking to her like this, and I'd be like, that's Sally Struthers, like looking at her face. We'd be in rehearsal and we'd be standing there waiting for our next note or something, and I'd say, you were in Dinosaurs.
Oh yeah,
and
she was the voice of the
Charlene,
teenage girl.
Charlene, and and probably at that time she was probably like 50, and she goes, I was, and I love that show, and she talked all about that, and then my favorite thing, I said, you were in the Pebbles and Bam Bam show, you were Pebbles. She goes, I was. And everyone standing around us like this, because I'm like, she was Pebbles, and they're all like, yeah, okay. And then she like looks me in the face, and she does the voice where you're like, come on, Bam Bam, let's go to Bedrock High. And it sounds like Pebbles as a grandma now, but it's still, it's like, that's her, it's her. She's doing it, and she's still all there and so funny. Yeah. I love stuff.
That's
like
great that you guys like stay in touch. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. I think she's very sweet, and she works all around the U.S. and regional theaters and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is also like a toy, comic, and video game channel also.
So what?
Yeah. So yeah, I know, right? So what's the first toy that you remember playing with as a kid?
First toy I remember playing with was
remember.
It was a fire truck that had Mickey Mouse in it, and Mickey Mouse is like hanging out the side of it with a fire helmet and a yellow fire coat, and it's just here. And when you would roll it, he would just kind of
he would kind of flop
like
around.
just this like thing of Mickey Mouse. He would just kind of like move a little bit, and so you'd roll it, and it'd make this clicking noise, and he'd be like this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was just a fire engine with Mickey Mouse hanging out of it. That was like my favorite toy.
Wow.
Love that toy.
Okay, well, what other like toys did you remember like growing up and like playing with it? Like you had it, like if you went to the store with your mom, like Mama, I want this. Like what would you get?
I always liked Muppets. Anything Muppets. Always.
I love the
Muppets
too.
But that's one thing we bond on. Always, still.
And then we would have friends be like, Muppets? We're like, yeah, Muppets.
Yeah, it's the
like,
best. And so I would I remember my mom getting me like this big Gonzo that I still have. It's like this big, you know.
Cool.
And the Muppets came out with a toy line in the early 2000s. Like there was like a toy line of Muppet Show action figures.
Oh yeah.
And I was getting all those. I don't know where they all are now. I know where some of them are. Yeah, and I just love like play sets, like anything from a movie where it's like, oh, look at this, here's all the characters from Monsters Inc. And like, you know, and it came with the house of the Monsters Inc. house. Like I had the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters house.
The firehouse.
Yeah, the firehouse. I loved that. That was my favorite.
Oh,
but I would
cool.
use all of my toys. I remember in one of my houses that we lived in, we had the sunroom, and I would set up an entire neighborhood with all like the Ghostbusters house, like that big castle that every kid had from play school. You know, just all these like houses, and would put my favorite action figures like House of Mouse style or Toontown style. I'd be like, okay, so Batman lives with Roger Rabbit, and Roger Rabbit's getting on his nerves. And then I would like go to the castle.
Stories.
Yeah. And like the people in the castle, like, you know, of course Mickey lived in the castle.
Because Mickey's king.
The Beast from X-Men was guarding it.
That's funny.
You know, like I had like all these toys. And like cars outside the houses too. So the Batmobile was outside of like the tree house, Barney's tree house.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was a big Barney kid. So I had
Really,
Barney toys. The Barney had this great tree house. That was one of my favorite Christmas gifts I ever got. There was this push-up treehouse where it had like an elevator, and it was like the treehouse from the TV show.
Uh-huh.
But you put Barney on it, and you'd pull the elevator up, and the tree would open.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And you could also put like stuff in it and like hide it, so when it would pop open, it'd be like an egg or like, you know, things like that.
Look at my treasures.
Yeah, I found things.
Favorite cartoon? You mentioned Tailspin.
I love Tailspin, but that wasn't my favorite.
The Disney afternoon shows.
I love the Disney afternoon stuff. I was big on Muppet Babies as a little kid because anything Muppets, and I love Muppet Babies.
I loved whenever they like mentioned Star Wars. I was just blown away.
So I had that. I had that one where it was like the Star Wars, Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, the
that
crossover
episode.
kind of.
The Jetsons, Indiana Jones, and made
Yeah.
fun of all of it. And I love that episode. And now we have them definitely not bootlegged on DVD.
Maybe.
But, well, release them, Henson, or Disney. Release them, Disney. But, now the new reboot is really good. It's over now, technically, but you can watch it on Disney Plus if you have it. It's really, really good. It's not as good as our Muppet Babies.
Right.
But it's very good.
Like, ours use actual, like, clips from, like, other shows and stuff.
And movies, which is why they say they don't release it.
Because of copyrights.
Yeah,
and stuff,
but still.
I guess it worked for TV. I guess they got away with it for TV.
Yeah.
But I guess they can't if you release it.
On DVD or whatever. I don't know. But they don't really do that with the new one. They do, like, little spoofy things.
Yeah.
Which works, but they kind of, like, lean more into the characters of the Muppets in a way that the original didn't. Like, Kermit has a yay! Like, thing that he does that he didn't do in the original, and there's character things. And also, like, it's CGI, but they were, like, animated to look like they're felt. Like the puppets.
Like a real puppet, yeah.
So I love that. I think it's really cool.
It's unique.
Yeah, and I loved Rugrats.
Rugrats is great.
So shows about babies, I guess.
Doug?
I love Doug. I was a big Doug fan.
Gummy Bears? DuckTales?
Yeah, I love Gummy Bears. Love DuckTales. Love Darkwing Duck. Also, just in general, I love Winnie the Pooh, but I love the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which was on Disney Channel, and it was part of the Disney Afternoon.
Yeah, it also ran with like the Aladdin TV show and Little Mermaid TV show too.
Yeah, and that's also on Disney Plus. All of these are on Disney Plus, basically.
So you're a Disney kid.
Yeah, I'm a Disney kid, a Disney and Muppet kid especially. I wasn't big on G.I. Joe and He-Man and stuff like that. That wasn't really my thing. Nah. My brother liked that stuff, so
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah, and
I also like the Muppets. So.
Yeah, my brother would watch that, but yeah, he was more into that stuff, the Harry Potter, the Hobbit, like things like that.
Okay.
And I was like, I like Muppets and Disney and Rugrats and Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network stuff. Like, that was my thing.
What about video games? What was your favorite video game?
My favorite video game? Okay, so I love Super Mario All-Stars. I remember getting that for my birthday.
Super Nintendo, yeah.
I got that for my birthday because I remember like going with my friends and I got that for my birthday and we saw Hercules that night in theaters. But I love that because it had all those Mario games on it. I also had a Tiny Toon Adventure Buster Breaks Loose.
That was a fun game.
That was hard too.
It was hard, but it was fun.
But I had that, and there was also
that was a great cartoon
even
show,
more than that. I loved there was a Speedy Gonzales Super Nintendo game.
I remember.
It was really I would play that for hours. But then as I got older, on PlayStation, there was a Rugrats video game that I played. It's I think it's Search for Reptar. I'm pretty sure that's it, the Search for Reptar, because you had to find all these Reptar puzzle pieces, and it was like you were recreating episodes and stuff.
Okay.
And I played that so much. I think it's the first video game I ever beat.
Okay.
As a kid. So I was like, there's credits!
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was like. So.
Did you ever play like Zelda too, or did you get into Zelda?
I didn't really play Zelda. My brother played Zelda, but I knew it. And I would see him play it, and I especially knew Link from Smash Bros. From playing Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, exactly. That was
a
pretty popular game.
Yeah, I never really played the game, but I knew him from that. And then I'd watch like Friends and my brother play the game, and I'd seen the cartoon.
Cool.
So excuse me,
princess. Well, Wesley, anything else you'd like to say? Thank you for coming on to our show and stuff.
Thank you for having me here in your lovely studio,
Mr. Actor.
It's me. Follow me on Instagram at Wesley Slade. It's just my name.
Follow him. So thank you, Wesley, so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. And this guy works so hard, and he's so wonderful, and he's made all this wonderful stuff for himself in this toy show. I'm super proud of you for that. You've done great stuff.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That
if you were to tell us, like me back in like 2007, hey Scotty, one day you can run your own toy show. We're like, you are so full of it.
No, I just like to hoard these toys. They're mine.
Yeah, these are my toys. I don't want to share.
Yeah, I know you do. And then also
I trade toys for the green paper.
Yeah, right. That's a good reason to have them. But also in terms of just great film work and stuff, you've worked so hard and you've gotten some great stuff. I mean, no one's doing a lot of any of the film work right now.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Hopefully the studios will see the bright side.
It'll come back. It's all gonna be fine. It's all good. It's fine. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad you're in town, man.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time here, seeing your family, and we love you. And yeah, check them out, everybody. Wesley Slade.
Family.
Instagram. Boom.
La la la.